Welcome to the Margarita Way to Success podcast. We have a special guest today. Diane Konkin is the founder and CEO of Advanced Mind Health, a virtual non-repeat client therapy practice specializing in helping high-profile professionals eliminate self-sabotage and substance habits in only 1 to 3 sessions with 99% of success rate. Diane, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm so excited to host you.
Hi, thank you for having me. Yeah, I love doing these interviews just because there's so much I want to share about what I've learned, and it thrills me to get the message across to empower others. Because our mind, so a little bit about me. I've had my practice for just over 3 years. I've worked with about 200 clients, like you said, with a 99% success rate. My practice is called Advanced Mind Health, and I practiced a brand new method of psychotherapy that incorporates hypnosis. So it's a very advanced form of hypnotherapy, and where a lot of therapists will address what you're feeling at the moment, I address why you have those feelings. And like we were talking about earlier, we all have fears, we all have these blocks. But when you understand how your mind works and how that you have power over it through simple language and visualizations, then it can be extremely empowering for just about anybody to get over whatever they want to.
Wow, thank you. It is powerful for sure. Usually people, when they get to practice something or to teach others, they got something in their life. You got through something, right? Can you share a little bit why you do what you do?
Absolutely. Well, my history is I worked for many years as a stage manager in live theater, but during that time, I was in a 27-year relationship with my late husband, who 5 or 6 years into our relationship, he developed depression and started drinking because he said that was the only thing that helped. He went through lots of medication, lots of different therapies. It was the 90s, so we couldn't really share that as much as we can now, when there's like very little mental health awareness and a lot of stigma attached. He was also a high-profile professional, and I watched him suffer for many years, not wanting to feel the way he did. And I felt a little helpless, as most spouses do when your spouse is suffering from some kind of mental struggle. And so years after he passed, I was looking to start my own business. And I also was looking for therapy for myself, because my grieving process didn't start till several years after he passed. And when I was searching for therapy, I found rapid transformational therapy, which is the therapy that I practice now. And I was so impressed by it, because I am a spiritual person, but I love it when people's messages, when protocols, when everything is rooted in proof, in science, it's results driven. And so this is why I was so impressed with this method. So I studied it and opened my practice within a year after that. And I help people who struggle with self-sabotage, anxiety, depression, even professionals who are like high-functioning CEOs that say, I want to feel better about this, or I want to, as you do, get up on stage or speak to a group of people and feel this way. And there's something preventing me from experiencing that and feeling that. And I want to get rid of it because I shouldn't. But something in my mind is blocking me from doing what I want to do, from moving forward. And so that's what I help my clients with very quickly.
It's really inspiring. And as you know, and our listeners as well, so for me, this is the public settings. To be confident on stage is the most important thing, and not the most important, but it's one of the greatest fears actually to overcome. And it's not only on stage, it's in public presentations in front of people. It doesn't matter if it's 2 people or 100 or thousands. People get scared. And can you tell me what exactly, what is the fear that raising up mostly when you see those people, CEOs, in front of people and they cannot express their message?
Absolutely. Of course, fear of public speaking is number one. And we have to understand that this is the way our prehistoric minds are wired, right? Our man has evolved, but our minds still think we're living in a cave, which is why this anxiety comes in, because right away our mind is telling us that we need to fear these things, and it sort of will look at our boss like the saber-toothed tiger from, millions of years ago. And we are all wired, we're born this way, to fear rejection and crave connection, because the number one job of the mind is to help us survive. And our minds believe that we are safer and our chances of survival are greater when we belong to a tribe. So when we get up on stage and we have this, our minds is what gives us this fear of, if you say something that people don't agree with, you may be rejected. And that rejection could be detrimental to your survival. This is what your mind believes. But it's easy with new neuroscience to change that cycle, to change those beliefs, because our mind will hold on to beliefs, but only until we question them and understand them and change them. And understanding is power. When you understand this is how everyone is wired, it makes you feel like you aren't very much different, because every human on the planet, we are wired to fear rejection and crave connection. So if everyone is like that, that makes us essentially like everyone else. And so we can use self-talk, we can use visualizations to change that. But I can talk a little bit more about that, but I'll let you respond to that before we continue.
Yeah, it's powerful what you share, actually, and it's this is so true, and I really connect to your message. But I do know that sometimes we can do some daily habits that can help us to overcome a lot of anxiety and fears that we feel. It doesn't matter in public presentations or in different fears that people experience. Can you tell me, please, what habits I can change daily to help me overcome those fears? And if it's
Absolutely.
actually effective, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to understand why the habits work, you have to understand how your mind works. So our subconscious mind drives 95% of our behaviors, our actions, our decisions. And when you buy back into the thoughts it's giving you, right? Like, let's say, for example, a critical inner voice, or social anxiety, or public speaking. If your mind is showing you visions of you being up on stage, stuttering, forgetting what you're going to say, blanking, being nervous, your mind is telling you that for a reason. Your mind is saying, this is not a safe thing to do. And so, but you can control your thoughts. You have the power to say, no, I'm not going to believe that, because I know I can get up on stage and be confident. All I have to do is tell myself that's how I'm going to feel, because our mind learns by two very important ways. It learns by the words we say to ourselves and the images we create in our imagination. So if you visualize yourself standing on stage the way you want to feel, smiling, comfortable, you have open body language, tell yourself you are an expert, you are communicating your message for a reason, to help others, to give value to others, to teach others, that will help them in their daily lives. So if you use the words and your visualizations, this is incredibly helpful. Those are the two like best tips, because this is how our mind works. Because like I said, the number one job of the mind is to help us survive, but the number one rule is that it will always do exactly what it thinks we want. So it's feeding us what its programming is. I call our subconscious minds our operating system. It's feeding us how it's been wired and what our past experiences are. But we can change that. We have power. We can just say, no, thanks. I don't want to believe all of these negative thoughts. And just because I'm thinking them doesn't mean they're real. It's just my mind like giving me its programming. And we change the programming in our computers all the time, but we don't change the way we think because we just immediately succumb to what our thoughts are. But we can say, no, that's not what I want. And imagine yourself. I call it mind flipping, right? Instead of imagining yourself, bombing on stage, imagine yourself thriving on stage and say to yourself, I'm an expert. I can't wait to do this. People are going to love what I have to say. People are going to be so intent in listening because this is an engaged audience. They are there for a reason to listen to my expertise. So the more words you can feed yourself like that and visualize yourself executing all of those words, the more it's going to happen, because we can turn our emotions, we can, especially nervousness, we can turn that into excitement because our minds don't know the difference. I mean, if you think about it, nervousness and being on a roller coaster, it kind of feels the same way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I first started doing media interviews and podcasts and speaking years ago, I would tell myself, I would use my RTT method with myself and say to myself, I am so excited to do this interview. I can't wait to share what I have, what I know, because I know it's valuable. I know people are going to be riveted by what I have to say. I know people are going to be intrigued. I'm interesting. I'm an expert. I know how to communicate well. I can articulate, like all of this positive stuff, and it's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. I'm excited. I'm going to kill it. It's got my name written all over it.
So you first practice on you, right? So you first try yourself and then you can deliver to others as well.
Exactly, because the more you say those words to yourself, the more you will feel your body energy changing and shifting. It's the same reason why if we close our eyes and imagine biting into a lemon, our mouth will water. Because we're telling ourselves we're biting into a lemon. We're telling ourselves, or we're showing our mind, this is what activity I'm doing. And your mouth will water because of that thought. So our thoughts and what we say to ourselves are so important to create how we actually behave and think and feel.
I certainly see your excitement and passion around this topic. And there's a famous quote that says, whether you think that you can or can't, you are right. And just the matter of visualization. But I really want to touch on a different subject a little. It's the same subject, but it's a different approach to the same thing that you mentioned already. So when we say to our mind, yes, I want to do it, or no, I don't want to do it, what I know about our mind is that our mind doesn't know the negative words. They turn it over to positivity anyway. And if I say I can't, it will say, okay, you can't, because this is what you feel in your body. Can you tell me maybe a little bit about that? How our mind actually approach the words when there's a no in the sentence, and that turns it into yes.
Yeah. It's essentially your mind doesn't understand several things. It doesn't understand the negative. It doesn't understand sarcasm. It doesn't understand exaggeration, right? So when we want to speak to our minds, to ourselves, in order to create these new neural pathways, these new thought processes, we need to do it repetitively, because, how long do they say it takes to form a habit? 21 days. That's the neurons that are firing that are actually attaching and creating a pathway. It takes 3 weeks. So if you repeatedly tell yourself this every day, now, if you have to get up on stage, you can be backstage telling yourself this, and you'll notice an immediate change and shift. But if you want that shift to be permanent, then it's the 3 weeks. So you're right. So we need to stay out of the negative by doing the positive. So instead of saying, I don't want to be afraid, you say, I want to be confident. I insist on being confident. I demand and require of myself that I have confidence. Because, and where does confidence come from? Self-value and self-belief, right? So I believe in myself to the core. I believe that I have an important message, and I am wanting to share this. And I'm wanting to share it articulately, and I'm wanting to share it, communicate well. So all of that stuff. I mean, I can go on and on, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So it's the positivity, and also in the present. You can't say, I want to lose 20 pounds by next year, right? Because your body or your mind, doesn't understand a timeline as far as the future. You need to speak to it as in the present. This is why our affirmations start with I am, right? Because if we tell ourselves this is what we are, then this is what our minds create in us. Now, having said that, you can't do 5 minutes of meditation in the morning and then spend the rest of the day criticizing yourself, right? You need to do the work. Because what I say to my clients is, it's like changing your algorithm. So for example, using like the Netflix algorithm, if you've been watching crime dramas for years and you suddenly want to start watching romantic comedies, then even though you've watched a couple of romantic comedies, Netflix is still going to suggest crime dramas until you watch enough until you watch enough romantic comedies that it gets the picture, right? And then it starts to change what it offers you. And your mind is the same way. You're changing the algorithm through your words and your images. So stay in the present.
Another example, I can give you another example. It's like eating healthy in the morning and then eating junk food all day long.
Exactly. And we all are just finding out now, or I'm seeing it more and more in the media, how the phrase breakfast is the most important meal of the day was created by cereal companies, right? Exactly. Until then, we just ate when we were hungry. And now we all have this mindset that we have to eat as soon as we get up or within an hour of eating, or else something bad is going to happen.
Exactly.
And for you, that's like the epitome of like major branding, right? Because it's something that has influenced our culture for generations. So yeah, so stay in the positive, stay in the present, and make sure it's repetitive. And, even catch yourself saying negative words, like, things like, this job is killing me, or I would rather be dead than go to that meeting on Friday. And if you tell yourself that all week, what happens? You wake up Friday morning and you're sick because your mind is saying, oh, that meeting is a threat to your survival. Then I'm going to make sure that your immune system is so low and you pick something
I will
up.
keep you safe. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but you can talk to your mind. It's, you can say, if it gives you suggestions, you can say, no, thanks. I don't really, why are you telling me that? I don't believe that negative thing about myself anymore. Now I believe this. And your job is to follow what I think.
So to go a little bit deeper on that, affirmations, it's something that I'm familiar with closely as a advanced yoga teacher, as I mentioned before.
Yes.
And one of the things that I know that affirmations not always work, and why? Because our belief system is so strong that it cannot go beyond the subconscious mind to override the programming. So if you can expand a little bit on that, how you can actually to use the affirmations in an effective way.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When you say to yourself those affirmations in a conscious state, right? Then your subconscious mind, don't forget, is 95%. It's the reason why my addiction clients, before they come to me, they try to stop on their own. But then when they can't and they relapse, they beat themselves up. They think it's their fault. But I say, you know, when I do my addiction podcast, I say, it's not your fault. That's my message, because you are trying to make a decision based on 3 to 5% of your decision-making power. So when you consciously say to yourself, I am enough, I am powerful, I am this, your mind is going to your mind is always listening, but it takes a lot longer to sink in, because those beliefs that it's hanging on to are the opposite of what you're telling yourself. And again, it's 95% of how you think, act, and feel. So you can say that, but your mind goes, nice try. You know, I don't really believe that, so I'm going to resist those words coming into me. But when you go into a meditative state where you relax your body, and Stanford University just did a study on this, on hypnosis in 2016, the most comprehensive of its kind ever. And they did brain scans on people with relaxed bodies, because your body is your subconscious mind. And when your body is relaxed, then your mind can relax and it becomes much more receptive and suggestible. So it opens up as your body relaxes. So if you go into a deeply relaxed state, like you do in a yoga meditation, it's much more effective. So I say to my clients, do that at least once or twice a day, and then reaffirm it in your conscious state throughout the day. There's also a study where two groups were given very complex equations and puzzles and problems to solve. One group was told they were going to be very difficult and they probably wouldn't finish. The other group was told, yeah, they're pretty easy, you'll get through it quickly, but while you're working on them, we want you to keep saying, this is simple, this is easy, this is fun. And guess which group finished flawlessly with no problem, right? So this is how our brains work. We believe what we're told, like, yes, through information, but mostly through feelings. And don't forget, our minds were formed between the ages of 0 and 7. So once we absorb all of that information and that programming, that's when our mind starts to look for patterns and proof as to how you create. And we hold on to those beliefs way into adulthood, but only until we change them.
You know, I'm familiar with the RTT and with Marissa's work for a while already, and I love her. She's powerful and she's on the mission, for sure. And so I saw her a few times on stage performing muscle exercise where your body believes, or, you know, with whether it's strong or weak. And so what exercise people can do on their own to examine their body to see that it actually works, this method that actually works. Me with myself, for example, what can I do? What the method do you have to share with us?
Well, muscle testing is just to prove that the words that you say to yourself do matter. That's what it's for. Or I know Marissa uses it a lot for her weight loss clients, or used to in her workshops, because she would put, you know, like candy or gummy bears or, you know, marshmallows covered in like whatever, just stuff that just does not rot, right? Stuff that she's got a whole trunk of food, processed food that she's had for over 25 years, and it looks exactly the same as the day she bought it, right? So muscle testing is just to show you that the words you say to yourself or what you are holding in your hand is bad for your body, right? So if you put something toxic or processed in your hand and somebody tries to push down on your arm will give it'll become very weak and you won't be able to resist the pressure. But if you put something healthy in your hand, then you can easily resist the pressure because your body's like, yes, this is strong. Same with words. She loves doing that exercise with military men because they can hold their arm out. And military guys, they're tough. They've got arms like the size of my leg, right? And if you say to yourself, I'm an idiot, I'm no good, I'll never amount to anything, then when somebody tries to push down on your arm extended, your arm will be extremely weak. But when you say to yourself, I am powerful, I can do this, I'm smart, I am capable, I can overcome this, I have phenomenal coping skills, I am lovable, I am worthy, I am valuable, then there's no way anybody can resist the pressure of your arm. So it's just a matter of proving that the words we say to ourselves really mean a lot. Like they are critical to how we live our lives. Absolutely.
And this is one of the exercises I actually use on stage as well. Instead of being in my own mind, how people perceive me, I'm getting to the audience and I say, how do I serve them? And this is the most, this is the reframing part of the exercise. So I love everything that you shared. It's really powerful, and it's actually also shows, a lot of people can use those daily. And if
Absolutely.
they have something more deeper, like any addictions or something, so what is the most common things that people come to you?
Well, I mean, self-sabotage really is like anything that your mind is telling you that you don't want to believe anymore, right? With anxiety, your mind is telling you that you're not safe and that you should fear things. With depression, it's that cycle of telling yourself you're not worth anything. No one will ever love me. I could never have this because I'm not good enough. And the more you cycle these thoughts and don't resist them in your mind, the deeper they become. So what I do with my clients is not only install what they want, but I remove and reverse engineer the root cause. So when I work with clients, it is in a 2-hour session where I relax their bodies first. I take them through a relaxation visualization to get them in that sort of theta state. And at that time, that's when their minds open up. But what I do is I communicate with their mind, not them, because your conscious mind is your critical thinking mind. And so what I'll say is, I'm going to ask your mind a question and you tell me the first thing that comes up. And when I ask their mind questions, or I ask their mind to show me a scene that is the reason why it's resisting what they want, that's the reason why they don't believe in themselves, then all of these scenes and memories will come up. And basically the feelings that they had at that time will create the beliefs that they are carrying with them. And when we reframe, like you said, and question those beliefs, then I take them through a series of tools to reverse engineer that. And when I start asking them questions, I'll say, how does that feel? And they're like, oh my God, like a weight has been lifted off of me. My clients love it because it works so quickly. And they're really surprised by the discoveries and the connections they make. And they're like just floored at how fast it really is to actually change their thought processes. I had, as a student of RTT years ago, we would practice on each other, the students. And one time, the other student said, what do you want to do a session on? And I said, how about like mindless eating when I take a break? Because we all like at our computers, as soon as I closed it, I would go directly to the fridge. And we've all done that. We're standing there going, I'm not even hungry. Why am I standing here looking in the fridge? So I did a session on mindless eating, and the next day I got up and I started walking towards the fridge, but my body started to turn on its own. And I'm like, what is happening? Oh, right. Because I told my subconscious mind, I installed into it that when I take a break, I didn't want to walk to the fridge. And because I wasn't focused on that, I was focused on something else, like my work or my next email or whatever. My mind literally started to turn my body. And of course, I could have said, no, actually, today I would like a snack, and overrode that. But it became the thought process that I was run by rather than the old habits. You can change your habits quite quickly by removing why they're there.
Amazing, amazing, and very powerful. So, and also, I know that when you change your subconscious beliefs, it's like you said, it happens so quickly that people don't even realize that they thought differently in the past, and they think, oh, I've been always like that. They even don't know that they had something different because of the programming. It's so, I saw it a lot of times in front of me, and dealing with clients as well. I saw the reactions and they said, oh my God, I don't believe that I actually right now thinking differently.
Yeah.
I don't have fear. I don't have sabotaging. I don't have anything. I'm so powerful. And this is like, it's amazing to see how quickly it can help people.
It really is. Yeah. My clients send me video testimonials. Like, they're just like, wow, I can't believe it. Like, I helped a doctor in New York of a 30-year behavioral addiction. 24 hours later, it was gone. And he texted me and he's like, is this for real? Like, what happened? And I'm like, you figured out why it was there, and then we told it that that's not what you wanted anymore. You understood why it was there, you questioned it, and you changed it. I call it the just the same as the quantum physics principle. I mean, I'm not a scientist or a neuroscientist, but I mean, in the quantum physics principle, it's even the act of observing something can shift it. And that's exactly what you're doing with your beliefs and your thoughts and your mind and everything that you run by. So addiction, substance use, anxiety, blocks. I help a lot of women that just say, I want to move forward, but something is stopping me. Procrastination is a huge one.
It's a huge thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it all comes from the same root. So yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, we will share your links under the podcast and the videos. And last final thoughts, Diane. It was such a wonderful sharing from you. And I see you on the service and sharing those thoughts to help a lot of people. And I'm sure that everybody who you helped already grateful for you. And I'm grateful for you hosting you here. So if you can share last words before we are finishing our podcast for today, and we will share everything, all your information under. People can connect with you.
I think the first thing that I want to address is, what a lot of people say is it sounds too good to be true. And really, it's because it's unfamiliar to us, because we have this new neuroscience research and it's starting to spread now like crazy. Even when I first started my practice, the word mindset was so popular in social media and amongst business leaders. And now it's expanded from mindset to now we're hearing more terms like subconscious mind, reprogramming your mind. It's becoming more and more popular, and it's because it works and it's because it's simple. The mind is not as complicated as it once was thought to be. It's very simple. I mean, as far as changing how we think, act, and feel. And it's very attainable. I work with my clients after a 2-hour session. The session is what does the work, but I leave them with a 15-minute audio recording that's personalized. They listen to that at least once a day, and that's what grooms in those new neural pathways. And they say, every day I'm noticing, I'm getting better. I can do things that I never even would have thought I've done before, and I'm so comfortable with it, right? So just know that it's not woo, it is actually science. All my clients they say their mind is blown. It's effortless. It doesn't take work. I'm not going to ask you to journal or to go walk in nature or to drink more water. I said, I think I'm the only therapist that, yes, those are all good things to do for ourselves, but I address the symptoms as in I eliminate them, not manage them. And
The
I think
root of
that's
the symptoms. Yeah.
Absolutely. So it can be done and easily for sure.
Thank you so much, Diane. And it was a pleasure to having you here. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your platform. I really appreciate it. My pleasure.
Have a great, great day.